Hello everybody, this is TechGut. In this video, what we are going to be doing is installing DaVinci Resolve on Linux. Now, DaVinci Resolve is great. It's probably one of the most professional video editing pieces of software that you can have on a Linux system. But with that, there are some cons. One of them, if you're using the free version, there is astronomically large file sizes with your media. And two, depending on your distribution, it is fairly difficult to install. Over here, we're on forum.techhut.tv, and I have the minimum system requirements here. According to this, you need to have CentOS and a dedicated GPU. You don't need CentOS if you're running a Fedora and you have a NVIDIA GPU. That's as close as you're going to get to their preferences, and you're going to have the easiest time installing this. But in this video, we're primarily going to be focusing on installing this with the AMD GPU, because that's where people seem to have the most issues. With that, on this actual forum post here, I have instructions for Ubuntu, Arch, and Fedora. And you can see Fedora, and this is the NVIDIA instructions. And like I said, Fedora is generally the easiest. You just want to make sure you have your proper NVIDIA drivers. You're going to want to download the zip directly from DaVinci Resolve and go ahead, make the .run file within that zip file extractable and run the run file. Easy as that. You can follow the instructions right here and you'll be good to go. There's a little note on Fedora AMD. I got this to work one time, but it's risky. I ended up borking my system when I tried to do it a second time. So do be careful. Make backups if you do want to try this out. If you're running this on Debian or Ubuntu or any other Ubuntu-based system, there's a couple more steps, but it's basically the same. Essentially, you're going to want to go over to this website right here and follow the instructions. What this is a script that's going to convert the .run file that you download from the Blackmagic website into a deb package. And with that deb package, you're going to be able to install it properly, basically. So you're going to want to extract both of your downloads. The main thing you're going to want to have is the run and the sh file in the same directory. You have a couple dependencies such as fake root that you're going to need, and then you're going to want to go ahead and run that script file with a argument kind of as that .run file that you downloaded, and it's going to convert the package, and then you could just do a dpkg-i command to go ahead and install the new DaVinci Resolve.deb package. Obviously making sure, of course, that you do have your proper NVIDIA drivers. Now with that said, everything I just mentioned for Fedora and Ubuntu is going to be in here. You could go copy paste those commands. It's real easy to install. With Arch Linux, it is basically just as easy to install, but there are going to be some extra things because what we're going to be doing is getting this to work with those AMD Pro drivers. First, you see this is NVIDIA and AMD, so if you want to, or if you have a NVIDIA card, you just install these drivers right here, and then you go ahead and install DaVinci Resolve from the AUR, and you're good to go. Now with that, we're getting into the actual dedicated tutorial here. I have a AMD card, and there's some extra steps and things to get all this to run smoothly because we're going to have to use a progl script later. So first things first, let's go over to our terminal here and make sure we get those AMD Pro drivers. What we're going to want to do is go ahead and paste in this command right here. This is going to get that AMD GPU Pro as well as the OpenCL AMD drivers. Hit enter and make sure you do select the OpenCL-AMG, the first option there. We're going to go none. Let's type in our password real quick. And then from there, go ahead and proceed with the installation. And this is actually going to go ahead and pull those AMD Pro drivers directly from AMD. You can see that's what it's doing now. It's downloading those. It's a fairly large file size. You can see pretty good download speed there. So now that we have the proper AMD drivers, what we're going to want to do is just a quick yay and search for DaVinci Resolve. Now, if you've paid for DaVinci Resolve and you have the Pro version, you can go ahead and get the Studio package here. Otherwise, we're going to want to go ahead and get the first package, which is the free version. I'd completely ignore these beta versions. They're actually technically out of date. So we're going to want to go ahead and grab this first package here. And again, this is going to pull the download from the DaVinci Resolve website and run it through the AUR scripts. So we're going to go none. We're going to proceed with the installation. This might take a little bit of time depending on your internet's download speed. Alright, now the installation is complete. If you're on a NVIDIA card and you already got the proper drivers you need, things like that, you're good to go. You can launch it. You're going to have no issues. If you're running a AMD GPU, what you're going to want to do is run this progl script and point it to the proper application file. And what this is going to do is basically tell your computer to open DaVinci Resolve with those AMD drivers. So if we hit enter, it's going to go ahead and launch. Now, everything's working fine now. We're going to do some other steps, so I'm going to quickly run through this. So stay tuned, we're not done yet. We're going to continue. It's going to make sure everything's up to par, and it might say our graphics card isn't, but it's going to be fine. Let's continue, and we'll go HD, and we're going to go ahead and go into videos. So right there, and then DaVinci Resolve continue. So now we won't have to run through this later. If I hit start, it's probably not going to work. You can see it's allowing me to do commands and stuff, so it didn't work. But now if we go ahead and open up DaVinci Resolve again, we're not going to have any issues. It's going to open up, and we could go ahead and check and make sure that it's using those drivers. If it didn't, it wouldn't open up at all, and you'll be able to see that. But if we go over here under Preferences, Memory and GPU, you can see we are using our AMD Radeon RX 580. So let's go ahead and close all this out real quick. And one thing you're going to notice is if you go ahead and go over to DaVinci Resolve, click on this desktop link, it's not going to open. And that's because doing it through that is not using that progl script. So what we're going to want to do to edit that is go ahead and cd into our, let's go to user, let's cd into share, let's cd into applications. Now if we do ls, we can see all of our different desktop shortcuts, and right here, this is the one that we're going to want to edit. So we're going to want to give that a quick copy, and then we're going to want to do a sudo nano, paste that in. And now what we can do is actually add that progl script to the execution line here. So this is basically saying when you click on this desktop entry, it's going to go ahead and execute this file, which is going to open up DaVinci Resolve. Now what we want to do is simply type in progl space, and now it's going to go ahead and add that script to our execution. So if I go Control O, enter, Control X, now I shouldn't need the terminal anymore. So let's go ahead and close this out. And if I go ahead and go over to DaVinci Resolve, one thing, this is XFCE, but if you're running GNOME or anything like that, you're going to have to restart your desktop, either log in, log out, or do, I forgot the shortcut. There's a shortcut to restart it. But if I go ahead and click on DaVinci Resolve now, it's going to open up and work completely fine. So, like I said, there'll be links down below, a link to that forum post, this one specifically right here, which will go over everything you need to know, including some additional tips, Fedora AMD thing. We have links to the DaVinci Resolve Arch Wiki, which will give you a lot more in-depth detail on your GPUs and everything you're going to need to get going. So I do recommend you check all that out. With all that said, I would love to thank our YouTube members and Patreon supporters. We have Mitchell Valentino, Sledgehammer, Phil Mac, Timo, Anthony, Kyle, and Chris Curtis. Thank you guys, and thank you to all the other Techie and Techie Plus members. If you would like to support the channel, you could either hit the join button down below or go check out the channel over on Patreon. I just posted some early benchmarking results for a video that's going to be coming out in the beginning of November, so you guys already got some a little bit of extra goodness. If you're interested in seeing the differences and why I primarily chose DaVinci Resolve over Kdenlive, I'll go ahead and link to a video. Just hit the I in one of the corners. I will note that a lot of the kind of bugs that I complained about in that video have been fixed, but with that, the pros of using DaVinci Resolve still outweigh the pros of using Kdenlive, in my opinion. With all that said, I do hope you all have an absolutely beautiful day, and goodbye.